Fred! Giroud. Back to Podolski. That is an absolute stunner. Looks as if it was Martin Kokkinos.
I think it's needed at the moment. The ball hits Van Persie. What a goal that was! Sheer quality for Robin Van Persie, found by Son.
Here's the little man here, Santi Cazorla! Arsenal 1, Hull 2. A classic free kick. Sanchez. Oh, Sanchez has scored an absolute beauty.
Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk, an Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Tez. You can follow me at Gurner Tez. You can get the show at the Clock and Talk. Those of you who are wondering, why are you guys recording? We haven't had a game. It's because I've got an author with me. He wrote a book, Caviar and Sausages. So we're going to discuss a little bit about his book. We've also got on the Twitter account, you'll see we get a 10% discount as well. So we'll tell you how to go about getting that discount. And then after that, we're going to preview Chelsea v Arsenal, and I've got a Chelsea fan coming on. So, Tony, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Hello, mate. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, buddy. Yesterday you sent me a few little some pages of the book. I had a massive read overnight, and wow, you've blown me away. This could go on for a couple of hours talking history here.
Yeah, well. It was a big 22 years, yeah. There was a lot to cover, but it was a big project for sure, yeah. Yeah, I was just saying 3 years in the making.
3 years it took you to write the book?
Yeah, 3 years, weekends and evenings. Yeah. So.
Wow. You're now based in Sydney. So tell me and the listeners a little bit about your backstory and obviously a guy in Sydney, he wrote a book.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Islington, pretty near to the Highbury. My family, both sides, they're all Gooners. My dad used to take me started taking me. I was trying to work this out, like my first games at Highbury. So it must be about 77, 78. First FA Cup final, 79, which was a 5-minute final where we beat Man United 3-2. And then I used to go with my mates to Highbury in the North Bank, the George Graham era. And then I lived abroad a bit in Asia and I actually moved back the 98, which was great time, was obviously the Wenger's first double. And so, I used to go to Highbury and then finally got a season ticket when we moved to the Emirates. And 10 years ago, I moved to Sydney. So gave up my season ticket a few years ago, which...
that would have hurt.
Not so much now. I'm physically a bit disconnected, but also probably the connection's gone a bit as well, like these days, but hopefully it will come back at some point.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually my surname is Red in Greek, so it was meant to be,
yeah. Caviar and Sausages, interesting title, and does to be honest, 20 years of Wenger, it sums it up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. So for those that don't know the reference, it's Wenger always came up with some great quotes, and so November 98, which was actually only a few months after doing the double, Arsenal drew a couple of games, and against Middlesbrough and Derby, both teams not in the Premier League now, and there was obviously Arsenal fans are hard to please, some groans, and he got asked about the fan reaction, and he said, if you eat caviar every day, it's difficult to return to sausages. So yeah, I thought it was a good play on, because I really wanted to have a balance, the good and the bad. Because I think a lot of, like, if you read a book by the club, or it's just all how great we are. So I wanted to be critical when appropriate, and obviously as well as talking about the good times. But not that sausages are that bad. I don't mind sausages.
Yeah, good. Not bad. Oh, sausage. Don't mind a snag on the barbie. Mate, I looking through last night, and I have to pull you up, and I have to pull you up because we talk about. I'm just actually looking for it. You talk about signings. The great. I think you labelled it as
the good, the bad, and the strange.
The strange, yeah. The strange was very interesting because I was looking through that list and I thought, oh, that is so strange, them signings, when you look at it like that. However, you got the bad on the bad, and he's still playing. One of my kind of favourite kind of players, Granit Xhaka.
Not Granit. Oh, no. We're not going to have the
and you've labelled
debate.
him as the bad.
Yeah. Well, he's so divisive, isn't he? I have to first of all say there is a footnote to that, which is it's not the worst players, it's the worst signings. So taking into account the fee paid, like who we could have bought at the time, and their impact generally. So, definitely not. He's not one of the worst 10 players at Arsenal, but the amount of money they spent and the time. I mean, that transfer window when they bought. I mean, the year before they didn't buy anybody apart from Czech, and then the next year they went crazy and bought Mustafi, Xhaka, Perez, and was it Chambers as well for like 95 million, and then
it was a strange one. They had a lot of strange stuff there, wasn't it? Mustafi, wow.
Yeah.
Is he in your bad? I'm gonna have a look.
Mustafi's there as well, yeah.
He's there, yeah. I had a laugh because being a Roma fan as well. And I seen who was it? The Javinho. I thought, oh, gee, what a pain in the ass that bloke was. I totally agree. I couldn't believe I got him twice.
Exactly. A lot of people, because he scored a couple of highlight goals at Roma. Everyone's like, oh, look how well he's done. But if you watch him 90 minutes, then yeah.
You know what's funny though?
Shocker.
It is funny though. You look at him, and you look at what Arsenal paid for him. You've got it here as 10 million £10.
Yeah.
If you compare that to now, that's actually a good deal. Like, that's how far we've come.
Yeah. 10 million now is nothing.
No, it's crazy. Like, we're looking at rumours of Odegaard. 32 million pounds or something this morning.
We'll probably pay more than that. We always overpay. I've actually got a little section in the book, buy high, sell low, which seems to be Arsenal's. Edu's carrying on that policy, it seems.
Yeah,
but I think as fans now, we just want players in, don't we? We're not looking at the cost.
That is right. Now going back to your book, it has you've broken it down. Like almost the best. From the 96 era, and then you've gone right through each generation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm astounded. Like, I cannot explain it here on a podcast in half an hour or 20 minutes. It's a book that I'm gobsmacked. The amount of research that has gone into this book, and you're talking where, Wenger, he come in and he got rid of the alcoholism within the team, and I forgot all about that. Like, you look at the Premier League now; it's a professional outfit, and it's stuff that me as a fan, I come on board with the Arsenal probably in 99, 2000. I've done my research on what I can back prior to that, but it's stuff that you didn't really know of. Where did you, what resources did you go through to get this?
Actually, a lot of it stuff I remembered, or like I didn't know the exact details, but I remembered some things, and then when I start looking up, it came back to me. So I used to go to all the games and I watched them, and then I watched a lot of YouTube videos, season reviews and stuff to remind me all what happened, and then just general reading up, really. Some of the little stories that I found, and one thing that I sort of found doing this was, like, Arsenal were always they were always involved in something. Like even when they weren't playing well or winning, it seemed like Arsenal was there. Like one example was the Paolo Di Canio pushing the referee. So I don't know if you remember that. That was one of the first Wenger years, maybe '98. And that's, I know we shouldn't laugh at it, but it was hilarious the way it played out. And so younger fans probably wouldn't know that. I'd say definitely look that up on YouTube. But Arsenal, that didn't really involve Arsenal, but they were obviously playing, and so they would just always seem to be involved in something. Like there was the Malaysian betting scams with the turning off the floodlights. The taser, it's just
when I was
stuff,
I was reading this and just listening to you now, like all this kind of floods back. But it's not until if people I sat down talking to somebody, none of this stuff had come to my mind really, and it's not until you've jogged my memory. Like it's just amazing. I got to get a copy myself. There's the old debate, and it's split amongst older fans to fans these days. The older fans, I don't want to speak for them all, but they loved Ian Wright. And compared him a lot to Henry. Are you one of them fans that which is better, or you just appreciated the both of them?
I don't really get into the, great. It seems it's a relatively new thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like in tennis, you have to have. I mean, obviously, as Ronaldo, Messi. Yeah, I mean, I have in the book had a couple of places where I said, actually, I did say Omri. I put Omri down as Arsenal's best ever player. So to compare those two, I think. Wright was more of a goal scorer and great player, but Omri was just next level. Like I don't think anyone had seen a player that could just do everything apart from maybe head the ball. He wasn't a great header of the ball, but dribble, assists, finish, great strike with play up front on his own. So I think. And as I sort of wrote a bit in the book about how he sort of changed, a bit like Vieira did for midfielders, he changed the position. Like it used to be holding, you had a holding player and a attacking player, but Vieira did it all. And same with Omri, like because that was that era where they moved to one person up front. You used to have the big man and the little man, and Omri just sort of could occupy three defenders on his own. And then you got players like Drogba, sort of in his sort of similar vein, but not quite as good.
Yeah. I was going through your. I was also going through your lineups, and one thing that is that you've got little lineups there, you've got little combos there, and I was so glad because not many people, well, they probably realise, but they don't think of it too much. Is the link-up combo between Sanchez and Ozil, like without. It was just an amazing little link-up combo. Like without Ozil, Sanchez wasn't great, and vice versa. When Sanchez went to Manchester United, he got found out. Like it was just a very important combination, wasn't it?
Yeah, they just always look for each other. Like as soon as they got the ball, that would be their like first thought would be, where's Sanchez, where's Ozil, and even like you got Sanchez sort of chipping in little crosses, and I remember a couple of goals where Ozil was sort of making late runs and heading goals. Like you never see Ozil do that, and also I think towards the end, Sanchez, you could tell he didn't rate some other players, and he wouldn't actually pass to them. I remember when I think it was I remember Gabriel, the Brazilian centre back, and he was playing right back for a while. Like didn't have a clue to play right back, and I remember quite a few times like the obvious ball, Sanchez would be like, no, I'll just ignore him and try and dribble, and that was a great combo, like the Alex Song Van Persie one.
Yeah, I've seen that one as well, and
just but that's what quite annoys me about Arteta's football now. We just haven't got any of those partnerships. You've got like Smith Rowe and Saka link up well, but he hasn't built any, keep chopping and changing the team. And I know we've had a lot of players in and out, but there's no real sort of partnerships there, and it's really key in football. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And people look at I know a few fans. They look at Lacazette and Aubameyang today, and they go, "We've got to play them both." But they're both strikers. They're never going to link up. We need a Smith Rowe linking up with a Aubameyang or like we've had in the past.
Yeah, there's no chemistry there, is there?
None at all. None at all.
It's very frustrating, and I really feel sorry for Smith Rowe at the moment because he's 20, and all the creativity is on him almost. He's got so much pressure on him to produce something. And you need good players. They want to play with other good players, don't they? So,
absolutely. Yeah. Also in the book, mate, you go a little bit like off the pitch as well, and we talk about. I was looking actually at the timeline. Just before Kroenke came in, and then it was a kind of. Once again, I forgot about how much of it seemed like a battle between, who was going to. Who was going to buy the most shares in Arsenal? Obviously, Kroenke ended up winning it all, but it went on for a few years, didn't it?
Yeah. So, I didn't want to go too deep in the off the field, the ownership and that, because there have been some older books that went on, about how Arsenal changed, moved to the Emirates and stuff. But obviously, it has to feature, and it did. It's amazing how long Kroenkes have actually been there in, from the original building a stake. And if you look at some of the quotes, back then the chairman was like, we don't want their type here, and then David Dean brought on Kroenke originally, and then they kicked him off the board, and then he went with Usmanov, and they didn't, and then the board sided with the Kroenkes, which in hindsight is disaster. There was a real battle, and the original owners, the original model was all split between some historic Arsenal families, and so no one had a major shareholding, which obviously worked better. But it's the same with all the clubs, isn't it? The Premier League almost have been taken over.
Yeah, look, and I there's names there that I forgot about. I think he owns a stake in Everton now, a majority stake. And he was Mashiri, he was there and abouts as well, and it's interesting when you look back over the years, because as football fans we see what's on the pitch now, so it's an interesting little trip down memory lane.
It is, yeah. There's actually Just on that, there is probably your listeners, anyone going to the game knows, but yeah, there's another protest on Sunday before the Chelsea game. So, I can't obviously in Oz, but if I was going to the game, I'd definitely be supporting that. I think we need to keep the pressure up on the Cronkies.
Yeah, I'm going to leave my judgment there for now because, I'm not. I can't just blame all the Cronkies.
Oh no,
at the moment. So there is other lots of things happening, and I have major doubts in Arteta as well. So
yeah, me too.
okay, and Arsenal they get money, they spend money. We've already spent, however much now. So I don't know what as Cronkies as owners could do anything more right. I don't. Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to get into it. Just quick point on that would be, I just think they just haven't put in the sort of structure or people. They just don't have the experience to run the club. There's no one there like overseeing, who's overseeing Edu and Arteta. I don't really understand, like, the whole, just seems a real vacuum. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. We might touch a little bit on it after. Afterwards. Okay, Caviar and Sausages. Anything else that the readers should know? Why should they buy this book, and where do they get it from?
So probably what we haven't touched on was, like, I've tried to do something a bit different by there's a lot of infographics and tables, so it's a very visual book, and as we sort of discussed, it's a bit, I think so. It's a bit very different from the normal book. It's just 300 pages of text with a few photos in the middle. So I've got all the graphics. You can just pick it up and flick to whichever sort of season you want. A bit like a coffee table, more ref style. And yeah, I think if you're a fan, then definitely. I think you'll be interested in reliving some of the times. I think as you say, you'll learn a few things you might not know, and if you're a newer fan, then it's great to relive or learn about the history when we were happier times. So
audio book coming in the pipeline or not?
I don't know. Are you? Would you be up for reading it out? Aussie version.
Oh, mate, I'd be slipping in a few swear words here and there. It could be interesting.
I know that they're big, but I'll have to look at that. But at the moment, it's ebook and paperback, and so it's online. Usual places, Amazon and Book Depository, Barnes and Noble, but also on my website. And as you said, if you're a Clock End listener, then you can email me and get I'll give you 10% off. But to do that, you have to do it direct. So just I have to do it manually. So just email me and say from the Clock End you want a copy where you are, and I'll just send you a PayPal receipt. So I think you're going to put the email in the.
I'll send out some. I'll send out on all the socials. I'll grab your email later.
Great.
On where do people go, and we'll whack a little 10% there, and those can get in touch with you and grab a copy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to bring in our next guest in a minute, and it is a Chelsea fan. And we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming game. So bear with me, because I've just got to play this little thing first.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Okay, welcome RJ, mate. He's on a podcast called It's a Football Thing. Mate of mine, Robbie, and a couple of the other boys there doing great stuff. A couple of Aussie blokes doing football too. I love it. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Tez. And Tony, nice to meet
Hi,
you. I've
mate.
been tuning in the background, and as a Chelsea fan, I've had some good memories, which I'm sure your ebook and that covers nicely. So congratulations on that, mate. I'm sure it's a great
Thanks.
read.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, some good and bad in with
I can
Chelsea.
imagine.
Okay, we're going to look at this next game. That's why I brought RJ in. Those who want to give him a bit of stick in the comments, he is a Chelsea fan. RJ, typical Arsenal, though. We get beat last week against Brentford of all teams, and we come out against Chelsea this week. And, mate, as somebody said to me yesterday, we're likely to come out and beat Chelsea. Like, that's typical Arsenal, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was making the joke the other day with one of our co-hosts, Scott Borg, he's a massive gooner and one of the co-hosts on the It's a Football Thing pod. And basically the joke was every other game Arsenal play, it seems that they're the invisibles, but when it's against Chelsea, it's the invincibles again. So it's just one of those scenarios where I can't quite put my finger onto why, but they seem to always get up for the clashes against us. So I'm slightly less confident than some of my fellow Blues.
Those having a bet on it, you can get a beef bet 365, $4.75 for Arsenal, $1.75 for Chelsea, and look, they are deserved favourites. Let's face it. Are we going to see Lukaku?
I think so. All indications from Thomas Tuchel's commentary, which have been floating around, indicate that he will take some part. I have my suspicions that it'll be more of a substitute role in the second half, depending on the ebb and flow of the game. But he's looking healthy and fit based on the pictures and the commentary. So, yes, I dare say we will see Big Rom back in the Premier League.
Okay. What are you going to do with Werner? You going to sell him or are you going to keep him there on the bench?
Yeah, it's a tough one because naturally our formation at this stage is the 3-4-3, and Werner's been playing predominantly on the left hand of the three for the most part, although formation and that rigidity doesn't seem to be really that prominent with Tuchel, and the front three are quite fluid. They move around a bit. So, look, he's probably the one battling the most, and he's struggling to keep his place with Rom returning. But I actually think that Rom will be a bit of an enabler for someone like Timo, because based on his Leipzig days, Timo actually played better in a two up front or even just dropping in at the left as an inside forward. But at this stage, if you look at the front three, it would probably be himself, Mason Mount, and depending on who's fit and fresh at the time, probably the likes of Kai Havertz, I'd say, or even Hakim Ziyech when he comes back from injury, because he's having a strong preseason. But great to have competition from a Chelsea perspective.
Yeah, okay. We're looking at this is a real worry for us, Tony, as well. Lacazette seems like he's out. Gabriel's still out. Aubameyang out. Partey out. I look at what we're going to do, and I think, like, Bellingham, like, come on. I'm not confident at all, man. Like, even our team, I'm so don't even know where we're going to go.
Yeah. I would. Who will Chelsea play left wing? Because, I mean, Chelsea must be looking forward to if Arsenal got Murray and Chambers, no pace there, then I think they will target Chambers if he plays right back. You got a lot of pace up front. That's a worry.
Yeah, so it's really tough to say who will play without knowing the intimate team sheet details, but I do suspect, so Alonso will most likely maintain the left wing back spot, and in front of him, I thought Christian Pulisic had a pretty strong game for us, but as I was mentioning, him and Mason Mount seem to switch flanks quite a fair bit and actually tuck into those little pockets. So it will be interesting to see if Ben Chilwell does get a bit of a look in, because if he does, he obviously offers a little bit more pace than Alonso, but Alonso's a bit stronger technically and has a more natural attacking mindset, so he'll probably push or pin Arsenal back. So there might be opportunity for Arsenal to exploit the spaces that he leaves behind. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see who occupies that left-hand channel for us.
Going to be interesting. I didn't catch the Crystal Palace game, RJ, and it was only because I saw the score 3-0 and I thought it's not even worth a game watching. So I really couldn't take much out of it. How, as a Chelsea fan, how do you feel that things went? Obviously, 3-0 is a great victory, but did you see any little weaknesses?
Not weaknesses, but there are some moments of rustiness that need to be ironed out via the dominance we had with the ball, which is not surprising for us over recent seasons based on our change of play to be a bit more proactive with the ball. But one of the issues that plagued us last season and the season before is our lack of potency in front of goal. So chance creation is not the issue, it's conversion. That's the problem. So in this game, 3 goals naturally suggest that potency is not a problem, but we had a number of instances where it could have been 4 or 5 or even 6. So I'm quite keen to see how we iron that out. So defensively speaking, very solid. Your old legend Vieira's really got some work ahead of him to, transform that Palace side because they were very passive, to put it lightly.
Wow. Okay. What's your predictions for this game, buddy?
Yeah, it's a good one. I usually write a little predictions piece for this and put all the pros and cons of what I think is going to happen. But I think it's going to be a lot tighter than what people give credit to. And I know, again, bring up my mate Scott. We had a bit of a friendly / robust debate on this the other night. Him saying, I have low expectations for Arsenal. Your team should wipe us with the floor, but I'm not completely ruling us out. And I said, yes, I definitely accept the responsibility that we're clear favourites for the game. But if you look at our head-to-head history, in recent times in the Premier League, you guys have gotten the wood over us. So it's not a cut and dry sort of outcome. And with that in mind, I think that Arteta, for all of his flaws, he seems to know how to get the Gooners up when they verse us. So it'll be a lot tighter. And therefore, with that in mind, I think that we'll probably edge out either a 2-1 or a 2-0. But I think it's going to be a very tight, compact game. So, yeah, keen to see how it unfolds.
Tony, what's your prediction, mate?
I'm worried that we would just have like 55-60% possession, don't create anything. Chelsea have 4 or 5 shots and score 2 or 3 times. But but as you say, Arsenal's record under Arteta against the bigger teams he's improved us in these games. It's almost like the Burnleys that we just don't seem to get up for. So I don't know. If you force me into prediction, I'd go for a 1-1. But,
okay.
Yeah.
you're a little. I'm
not putting money on that, though.
Yeah. I'm at the point of this kid Balogun. He's got to come out and he's got to play the performance of his life because Aubameyang and Lacazette they look like they're not back this game. So this is going to be, I guess, his chance again because Martinelli probably won't start up top. So that kid, he has got to, he's got to have a massive game for me, and a lot rests on him. I think it'll be a very similar lineup. I don't know whether Bellerin gets in for Chambers because Chambers had an absolute shocker, but is it a first game jiggles? I don't know. It's one of them ones where Bellerin may come in, but I highly doubt it. White, he'll be all right. I'm not worried about White. He'll be okay. Granit and Lokonga will probably play mids again. Tierney, it's still a really weaker team, but a team that can get a win. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. That's my worry. So I'm predicting a Chelsea 2-0 because I do worry about Arsenal being able to score a goal unless Pepe and Balogun have a great game, and I think that lies a lot on them too. Even Martinelli.
I think he can bring Saka in from last week, but otherwise options are pretty limited. But I think the atmosphere is going to be interesting because it's the first game back for everyone for a year, and so people are going to be up for it from that point of view. But on the other hand, if we start passive and not with any energy, then it could turn quite quickly. But if we start with energy and purpose, then the crowd will get into it. So I think that the atmosphere will be interesting.
Well, the other thing I was looking at as well is he might very well start Elneny, and more because Elneny's that kind of midfielder who will a defensive kind of midfielder. Well, I like what I saw from Lokonga last game. I think he's a great signing, and he's got plenty of potential. But thinking Arteta, look, I wouldn't start Elneny, but thinking the way Arteta thinks he might be Arteta can Elneny can slow play down. He's defensive minded. We're not really, almost not park the bus, but you know where I'm coming from. Like he'll try and slow it down in the midfield a little bit. I hope he doesn't. I hope we just go for it. I'd rather go for it and get smashed 3-0, at least going for it, than trying to play just defensive
a
shit
slow
football
burner.
and get beat. Yeah. And still get
it's
beat.
an ugly way. We did that against City. I remember a few years ago with Conte, who I'm an Inter fan as well and have a lot of respect for what he's done in the game. And I appreciate why he did it at the time. But I remember the suffering against City because we had a 6-0 hammering against them. But we went out there and basically played dead football and lost 1-0. But it was like we were on life support the whole game. And it was just really terrible to watch some really fundamentally gifted players playing in a really restricted capacity. So I'm sort of with you on that one, Tez, where, you're up against a more superior team on paper. But as they say, the game isn't played on paper, and your team isn't a League Two squad that hasn't got any talent at all. And sometimes you need to play with the shackles off a little bit just to see what they're made of, especially against teams that are likely to dominate, or even if they play a bit smarter strategically, a bit more pragmatic, and invite Arsenal and try to hit them on the break. We were the more superior squad last season, and you got the job done, and the time before that. So if I was Arteta, I'd be like, just play to your strengths, keep it compact, but at the same time, don't succumb to the aura that you're up against a more superior European champions opponent, because you have got good history recently. So that's why I say it's not a foregone conclusion, and there's a lot of misconception in the fan base that this is going to be a bit of a cakewalk. And while I would love that, obviously, I just don't see that unfolding. So I'm very keen to see. Actually, is Smith Rowe going to be playing? I saw in the last game.
And will.
Yeah, and I thought he was one of your brighter sparks. I watched the Brentford game, and you had a pretty good start, and then you conceded that pretty ugly goal. But I thought he was one of your brighter sparks, as I said. So I'm quite keen to see how we keep him nice and quiet.
Yeah, look, and as Tony and I were discussing earlier about the book, and this is the lack of what I see at the Arsenal at the moment is combos. We've got a talent in Smith Rowe, in that attacking midfield role, and there's no combo there. We've got Balogun up top, and you kind of, everyone tells me he's the next Messi, but I'm yet to see it. But we have no combos. There's nothing there. So you've got Granite, and even Granite was he wasn't given his big long balls through, and we've now lost Lewis, so he's gone. So we have nobody giving them forward balls. And that's my I hope when Aubameyang or Lacazette, whoever comes back, and I can hopefully see maybe a combo situation there where Smith Rowe and him, Aubameyang link up. But at the moment, I'm not seeing it, and that's a massive problem for me. Okay, boys. Look, I think that we're going to wrap this up because obviously it was just a quick preview show. I was sitting there last night or yesterday, and I thought, I'm going to start doing a little bit of these preview shows for you guys, for the listeners. Grab another fan on, and I thought I might only do it in big games like Man United, Chelsea, and whatnot. But then I thought to myself, Arsenal, where are we? Every fucking game's a big game. So, they'll probably pop up if I can grab another fan of a West Ham or any Everton fan and things like that. I'll definitely have a chat and we'll throw out a little preview pod. Thank you, gentlemen. Been a pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And good luck with your book again, Tony. I'm sure it's going to be a great
thanks
read.
very much, mate. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And you can download It's a Football Thing. Where are you guys at? Oh, you're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everywhere now.
Yeah, well, we've recently jumped into the YouTube scene just to sort of try to engage that wider perspective, because for our show, it's not one club specific. We represent Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United as the three co-hosts, but trying to make it a bit more broad across the Premier League in general. So we found that YouTube's been a bit more of an effective way of engaging a live audience. So far, it's been going pretty good and had some good guests on in Scott McDonald, former Socceroo and Celtic player, Fabrizio Romano. He was one of the highlights. And yeah, we're just really building a nice community there where we're getting some respectful, engaging and a bit of lighthearted banter between the co-hosts and some of the regulars. So check it out if you can. We'd love to have you.
Great stuff. And make sure you, before you subscribe to them, subscribe to me at the Clock and Talk.
Absolutely.
On YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else you get your good podcasts from. Okay, boys, let's go. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for downloading, and we'll speak again after the Chelsea game. I hope we do get a victory, but I don't see it. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, guys.